A very good morning, Aibawan. Welcome to this edition of Couch Safari. My name is Lanka, your host for this incredible streaming that is coming to you today from Yala National Park. I have with me the expert that knows everything. Vimukthi, good to have you back here in the remote studio.
Thank you very much. Yes, very good morning to all our viewers around the world.
Really excited today, this morning, because we're coming to you from the land of the leopards, and I think we're connected with the guys out in the field, and so we'll hear what they have to say.
Beautiful morning,
Lovely morning, Chitra. Great day for a start of the Yala part of the program, huh?
Fourth leg, we are in leopard country.
Absolutely. Let's hope the big guy will make an appearance.
Generally, Yala never disappoints.
Right.
We got about 3 days of work here.
Right.
Let's see what we see. For the benefit of the viewers, we just entered Yala National Park, which is situated in the southeastern corner of Sri Lanka. About 150,000 acres of contiguous forest broken into 5 blocks. But all the action and our work will be based on Block 1, which is about approximately 30,000 acres of excellent dry zone forest and best known around the world as the home of the leopard in Asia.
Yeah, is it true that Yala has the highest leopard density in the world?
We've been making this point, Doctor, since about 15 years ago, when many years back BBC made a film called The Leopard Hunters. They're the ones who initially told this. Then there were 2 main research projects run by local scientists, and all the data points that Yala could be amongst the top 3 most dense population of leopards in the world. We love to call it the number 1 location, but there are other competitors around, at least one in Africa and one in India, but I think I'll settle for being amongst the top 3.
And also, isn't that really interesting? I mean, I think we are talking about Block 1, right? And Yala Block 1 is the most visited national park in Sri Lanka.
Absolutely, it's probably the most roaded, most visited park. Just a small patch of 140 square kilometers, and it offers this magic of seeing, according to research, we believe there are close to 100 leopards.
Wow.
In this small patch of land.
That is impressive.
And if you compare the ranges of leopards in Africa and even in India, the territorial range of a male leopard in Yala is as low as 16 to 18 square kilometers.
Right.
Versus 60 to 75 in the Africas.
Wow.
So the conditions are different. We're seeing a ruddy mongoose on a termite mound, and there he goes. Oh, he's in a hurry.
Yeah, so to get back to our leopard discussion, but isn't it strange? I mean, with such a lot of people coming in, I think many hundreds of thousands of people coming in, so you think the leopards here are habituated to people, that you actually still see them, and such a high density of leopards?
They really are, and I think some credit goes to 2 generations of photographers who worked, I believe, from the 90s onwards.
Yeah.
With a lot of passion to capture moments with the leopards, and a couple of generations of females got habituated, and I think we strongly believe that the cubs of these mature females started mimicking their mother and tolerating jeeps at close proximity.
Right.
And once you properly handle the early formative years of a leopard, unless some bad experience comes across, they will continue to be rather tolerant of vehicles as they grow up. But it's believed that when they become fully grown, especially the boys, they act more leopard-like than otherwise. So then they will become more elusive naturally and stay away from the public eye. But often the cubs are very, very inquisitive, and fortunately in Yala we continue to see both grown males and females who can be called extremely habituated.
Okay.
They could just ignore 30 vehicles watching them and just go about doing their thing.
Right.
I think that's quite amazing that they can ignore the vehicles. They're not threatened. I guess they just know, isn't it, Vimal?
That's right, yes. What you see here is the aerial footage of the Yala National Park. And Yala is totally different from the two national parks that we brought earlier from our program, stream program. And here you have the deciduous forest. The forest coverage somewhat close in some areas, and it's a semi-deciduous forest. It's way in the southern part of Sri Lanka. And one main difference here in Yala from the other two places that we streamed was you see large granite rocks in this landscape. I mean, it's amazingly beautiful when you see these kind of footages from the air. You can enjoy the true beauty of Yala National Park.
Truly spectacular. So it's very interesting that the claim that this particular park has the highest density is home to the largest number of leopards.
That's right, yeah. That is why it's very popular among the visitors to Sri Lanka.
Right.
Because it's any wildlife lover's dream is to have a glimpse of this majestic predator, which is the leopard. And Yala has become one of the best places for that. And that is why the tourism the tourism industry is revolving around this apex predator.
Right.
Everybody wants to see that, obviously. You
And
look at that beautiful rock formation. My God.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yes. Again, the drone footage has been taken according to regulations, not disturbing the natural habitat and any animals. They weren't interfered with, so to speak.
Yes, yes. We have to reiterate that. We took extra precaution to
most
stay
definitely.
Away from the animals and not to disturb.
Heading back
anything.
into the field now.
There was a leopard that walked across from that little gap, and you can see the alarmed spotted deer giving out their very distinctive alarm call. There you go.
Looks like they're going to investigate.
Yeah, they have this habit, doctor, of almost following the leopard. And by doing so, they are taking off that element of surprise for the
Right.
cat. Because leopards love to hunt with absolute ambush, and as long as the leopard knows that the deer had seen it, it's reluctant to go for it.
Go for it, yes. I think that's the case with a lot of the big cats. Most of their attempts at procuring prey fail, and I think many of the big cats, like 95% of attempts fail.
Yes.
Compared to the hunting dogs, we are 95% are successful because they are group hunters.
Yes.
We also see two woolly necked dogs among the deer.
Yeah. You could also occasionally hear the monkeys on the trees calling. So for us as photographers, as much as the deer and the peacock calls are very...
Oh, actually, those are peacocks, no?
Yes, they are peacocks.
Yeah, they are peacocks.
the deer and the peacocks do call, and that's a great way to find out whether the leopards are moving. But when the monkeys call, it's almost a guaranteed fact that the leopard is there, because the langurs generally never call if they can't see the leopard.
Right. They have also a very distinct bark when the alarm call, right?
Yes. And often they're the ones who kind of spoils the leopard's attempt by sitting up on the trees and,
Right.
calling out.
Right.
Yeah, so as you can see, the leopard could have moved through the bush, hugging the tree line, and they're masters of doing this, staying away from sight. And you can start to see the deer relaxing a bit, but they're still calling occasionally.
You see a group of lesser whistling teal,
Yeah.
which is probably the commonest duck in Sri Lanka. It's a resident duck. But reality tell here you also sometimes see the greater whistling teal,
Okay.
which is migrant and quite rare.
Yeah. Yeah, they're beautiful little ducks, aren't they? I mean, they're quite prevalent even in the city areas,
Right.
and they have this very distinctive chirping call as they fly off, I believe, which gives their name of being whistling teal. Very cute ducks, and in the season when the migration sets in, sometimes in little water pools like this, you can see hundreds of them. ටිකක් සැඟ වුණා වගේ නේ කුටිය. ඔය මේ පැත්තෙන් මේ මෙතනින් අල්ලගෙන ඉන්න මල්ලියා. ඔය ගල් ටිකක් තියෙනවනේ ඈත. ඒ ගල් ටිකට අල්ලගෙන ඉන්න ඔතනින් මතුවේ යා. ඕන් එකේ තියන්න අපි කතා කරන්න. Look, I think the leopard is moving again,
Right.
and this is just being a typical smart cat. It's avoided the line. It's avoided the line of sight of all the deer and walked along the edge of the forest. ගස් දෙක මැද්දෙන් නොපෙනී ගියා නේ. ඉස්සරහට නම් බලමුද ගැප් එක පේන්නේ නැහැ දැන්. කො ඉතින් ඉස්සරහ. Oh yeah, he's there. Tahu gandhi serat, tahu. අරින් කවුරුද අරින් යසස් අනින් නෝ කොටිය දෙන්නයි කොටි දෙන්නයි කොටි තුන් දෙනා පොඩ්ඩක් ඉස්සරහට ගන්න තව චුට්ටක් ගන්න බොහොම පොඩ්ඩක් ඒකයි මම පොල්මේ කොහොමද සෙට් වෙන්නේ දැන් එయ్యා තෙන්ට ඉලා පොල්මේ එකේ කොහොමද දෙන්නා මොකද බලලා පිටදී අදනේ ගන්න බැලෑස්සේ ඉන්න
So we saw the Mahasilava cubs, the two 10-month-old cubs with the mother. They were drinking water very briefly. It's a cool morning. Now the mother and a single cub walked past this little gap. Hopefully the other cub will come. Wow, that was amazing. What a start. Let's watch. He should follow the mother. There you go. Yeah, that's the second cub. Phew, that was good. සීට් එක නෑ දැන් සීට් එක වදිනවා මට මෙතන නගලන්න බඩු වෙන්නේ බලන්න.
We of course have 4 species of egrets, and here is the largest, the great egret, and you can clearly see that he has only the back plumes. In breeding plumage they develop these long gossamer plumes. So he has only in the back, which is characteristic of this species. The median egret has the breast and back, and the little of course has also on the head.
The whistling teal are having a lovely bath in the morning, doctor. They're dipping aggressively in the water. It's so cute. That's a really proper bath they're having.
Oh yeah, must be the morning bath, right? Get ready for the day. Morning ablutions.
Yeah, you can see them bathing and then fluttering away, cleaning their plumage.
Right. So you can clearly see, as the saying goes, water on a duck's back. It just doesn't stick, it just cascades off when they are bathing. As opposed to the birds like cormorants, whose
Yeah.
feathers actually get wet for the
Yes.
water. The diving birds, so that they can actually swim underwater. Yeah, the whistling tail is a very, very pretty duck. I believe they're also called tree ducks because they perch on trees.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not many ducks perch on trees, but whistling tails are one of the ones that do. They can also be, I think, sometimes they are considered pest for paddy because
Yes.
they can also raid, and you, as you mentioned, you do get large flocks at some times.
Yeah, and they're very clever to find little water spots because moment after the rains, when these little paddy areas around the city gets flooded, overnight you see the flocks of whistling tail settling down. So I think through their flight they immediately pick up new habitats that is habitable for them, and they quickly take advantage for that week or two, settle down, stay the nights there, and when the water level just goes below their expected levels, then suddenly next day they're gone.
They just
So
disappear.
they're almost like nomads. you know.
Right. Of course, we also have the migrant ducks. I
Yes.
haven't seen any yet this year, but we get quite a few species coming here for winter.
Well, that's really, really exciting how they managed to grab some footage of leopards so early on in the morning. It's looking good for the rest of the session, I think.
That's right. They were very lucky.
Yes, absolutely
The
gorgeous.
very first footage of leopard from Yala.
Very exciting. So tell us a little bit more. Are we going back? Going back to the field right now.
He can't move because he's not on the tripod. well, off කරාම කියන්නේ There is a lovely calotus basking in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, we have a number of species of calotus. So this could, I suppose it could be a calotus, but the color is very different. Normally calotus is green with white stripes. So this guy looks very different. Certainly a calotus.
Yeah, it's a living dragon, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, yes. Actually, when they display, you can really see all the ornaments they have. The head ornaments and the on the back you have these little spine-like scales.
And for the children who were watching Game of Thrones until late last year, if you want to see the living dragons, get off the TV room and get onto the field. There are a couple of actual, relations of those flying dragons still around, and we're seeing one of them and bringing this signal to you on the couch safari.
So of course, being reptiles, they are so-called cold-blooded, so they like to bask in the morning sun and absorb all the warmth so that they get all warmed up for the day.
Yeah, it's like drinking coffee by humans, isn't it? I mean, you just get up in the morning and some people can't get activated without a cup of coffee.
That's right.
So this little fella is having his coffee just by absorbing the energy from the sun. And he gets going like us without the caffeine.
Solar powered, isn't he?
A totally solar powered animal. That was great.
Well, like I said, quite a spectacular morning. Just a quick reminder, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, we have Vimu in the studio, ready and waiting to answer those questions. So please text us. As you can see, a few people have been starting the process, and those inquisitive minds, questions you always wanted to ask but never actually knew who to go to. So we're looking forward to getting those questions. Also want to remind you that while you watch our magnificent wildlife, you could eat and explore with Uber Eats. Thank you to Uber Eats for coming on board to support this incredible venture. You need to use the promo code YALA30 to get 30% off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. this morning. So we're looking at breakfast for everyone watching in from Sri Lanka. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order to receive your discount. The code is valid only for one order above 800 rupees placed before 10 a.m. today, with a maximum discount of 300 rupees per order. So please do take advantage of that offer. And again, thank you to Uber Eats for coming on board. I believe we're going into a quick commercial break. We will be back with more footage. It's definitely looking promising. I'm expecting to see more beautiful leopards and a few wild boar, did you say?
Yeah, so many other bird
coming up,
species,
yeah. All right, going into a quick commercial break. Stay with us. This is Couch Safari.
Inspired moments with Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts.
You'd never leave my side, but I'm rewinding time. I'm going back.
So Doc, Yala is what I basically call a melody of habitats. I mean, you talk of Yala being leopard country, but because it's just custom made, almost like an architect designed for leopards. You got the open plains with the grasslands that attracts the herbivores, the shrub jungle where the leopards can ambush them, the tall palu and the veera trees where they can climb, including even the tamarind trees. They take a lot of shade in the afternoon. And of course, something the leopards can't live without is the granite. And Yala's got amazing granite mountains. The only place I can draw a parallel is the Javai leopard mountains in Rajasthan in India.
Oh,
So it's such a lovely combination of things that kind of makes this as a perfect leopard country.
right.
And no wonder why people say that we could be having one of the most dense populations of leopards in the world.
Yeah, I think, Yala, there are quite a few different habitats just within this small area. And yeah, it's a very, very diverse and unique location, I think.
Yeah. And the cats don't disappoint here. You see, because the good thing about Yala is that people come here almost to see the leopard.
Right.
And over the years, it's the perception of Yala has changed from coming here for a great wildlife safari to almost coming here to see just the leopards.
The leopard safari.
and it's almost a leopard park. And
Right.
8 out of 10 attempts you can see. So that's the magic.
I think it's one of the few places in the world where you can actually almost guarantee a leopard sighting.
Yeah.
And also they say that, leopards do have, I believe, the widest range of any of the big cats because they are found both in Africa and Asia.
Yeah.
But in most of across their range, there is a bigger cat, either the lion or the tiger.
Yes.
Whereas in Sri Lanka, they are the top predators.
Yeah.
So they are perhaps a little bit more likely to come out into the open and behave as the big boss.
I think you have a very good point because even when you go to Javai, the leopard hills of India, they are very, very relaxed. And I see them even more so in Yala. But again, there is a commonality between Yala and Javai because even in Javai, though they sit in tiger country, there aren't tigers in that part of India.
Oh, I see.
And in Yala, as you say, this is the top predator, the top cat.
Yeah.
And hence could be the reason why it walks the day as much as it walks the night.
Right. Yeah, because, generally you'd think they would hunt more in the night.
Yes.
But here they are out and about even in the day, as you say. That's amazing.
We filmed with National Geographic once for almost 45 days, and we did film at night using infrared and thermal. So as much as we say that they walk the day as much as they walk the night, they are more relaxed in the night.
Oh, I see.
Because we clearly saw, moment the sun goes down, that becomes the part of the day of the leopard.
I see.
Because it's almost like us waking up at 7 in the morning,
Right.
7 in the night is when leopard wakes up to its actual reality, and they own the night.
Sure.
They become bold, and there were times when we were filming with night vision goggles, the leopards just came and sat on the road on its haunches by the driver and started inquisitively looking at the driver, and the drivers got a little excited, including Janaka.
Is
But
this
then
Tina?
he kept his cool, So yeah, so they really do get bold,
Right,
and
right.
become true leopards at night.
Right. And also the Sri Lankan leopard is actually a unique subspecies. I think there are about 8 subspecies recognized, and Sri Lanka has its own subspecies. I think it's Panthera pardus cotia.
Kotia, yeah.
So I think, Sri Lanka is a fabulous land because there are, especially for wildlife, I would say that it is arguably the best wildlife viewing in Asia because in such a small area,
Yes.
such a lot of diversity, such a lot of chances of observing wildlife, whether it's in a park, whether it's outside, whether it's birds, mammals. Even if you think about the little things some people specialize in, like say amphibians, frogs.
Yes.
Sri Lanka has more than 125 species of amphibians.
And counting, they keep discovering.
Yeah, there are more and more new species. We talk about the global amphibian decline, but in Sri Lanka there are so many species which are not yet even known to science, which are not described. So it's an amazing place. Even reptiles, I think just the last week there were 2 new species of snakes discovered
Yeah.
in Sri Lanka. So this is an amazing place. I mean, Sri Lanka, people have studied the fauna from British times scientifically.
Yes.
But still, there's so much that
More to
we
find,
don't know,
more to
so
discover.
much that we have no clue.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, of course, is in the wet zone, the endemicity.
Yes.
And it is really sad that a lot of things are disappearing and will disappear before even we know
We
that
get
they
to find
existed.
them out.
Yeah, so that is an extremely sad thing. But especially in the dry zone, I mean, we have a lot of our parks are in the dry zone, and most of the large mammal fauna in Sri Lanka is in the dry zone, and that is fairly well protected.
Some interesting facts about Yala and the animals that call it home. Just a quick reminder before we have a bit of a discussion about what we just witnessed. We do have a competition happening. If you'd like to know how you can win a trip to Sri Lanka, then log on to our website www.srilanka.travel/wildlife stream, and you can find out all the information you need to know about how you can be in to win this trip to witness all of this firsthand. There's nothing like actually being here in the middle of it all. Agreed?
That's right. Yeah.
So what is this rock formation, the granite rock formations?
Oh, this is this is the famous Jamburagula rock formation. When you take your route on the Jamburagula road, you will definitely see the entire rock formation. You wouldn't miss it. Look at the size and majestic rocks are just popping out of the
Amazing, yeah.
out of the forest canopy, and it is definitely will stop and appreciate a different sort of mixture of rocks and trees and many other habitats in Yala.
Now, Suresh, we're getting those questions in now. Suresh would like to know, good morning to you, Suresh, how many leopards are there at Yala?
Well, I think in scientific assessments, there are about 70 to 80 leopards have been identified, and then it could be more because most of the research have been conducted in the block 1 of Yala National Park, but there are other blocks also.
Now we are seeing a land monitor on a palu tree. Typical behavior in the morning, they'll just cling on these trees with their sharp, strong claws. Warming up again.
Warming up again.
Solar
Yes.
panels are working.
Absolutely. So this is also called the Bengal monitor, the scientific name being Varanus bengalensis, and it's one of the probably one of the commonest reptiles that you see in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, also very often you see them as roadkills.
Yes.
Every time you go from Colombo to Hambantota, you'll see 3 or 4 of them dead on the road. But of course, they have a very big population. So they do very well in Sri Lanka. And in fact, there's one big guy like this who actually walked through a house in this. So yeah, they are very interesting animals. The Komodo dragon is, of course, the biggest of the monitors,
Yes.
and it's like you were saying, it's almost a real dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is water monitor, of course, is bigger, Varanus
Yes.
salvator.
Well, we have really large water monitors in the wet zone.
Right.
Even in the city, I mean, sometimes
Right.
you have from the head to the tip of the tail, a large water monitor can be sometimes 8 feet.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
more,
Almost
and
almost 3 meters.
It's there,
Yeah.
huge.
So these guys, of course, don't grow that long, but still they can be up to, I think, 1.5 meters. And they have a fantastic sense of smell. And you can see them, sort of flicking their tongue in and out, and then dig and catch a worm or or a frog or something. And
Doc, I want to ask you now, this behavior of flicking the tongue kind of matches with the same behavior of snakes.
Yeah.
So are they kind of tasting the air for
Yes.
particles which they can kind of then convert into a sense of smell?
That's right. Yeah. So that is related to the sense of smell. So
Okay.
by flicking the tongue in and out, I believe that they catch the particles in the air, and then by putting it in, it goes to the whatever sensors, and then they get information about what is out there.
It's also interesting to find out whether they have something very similar to the snakes, which they say they have this Jacobson's organ, which that the flicking tongue sends a signal, and there's this part of the brain that converts it into some kind of a message they can read.
Okay.
So then they'll identify whether it's food or
Okay.
not, or a threat.
Right. Right.
Something interesting to find out whether they have something very similar.
But I guess, I mean, if you smell something, so that means you are translating, you are reading that,
Yes.
whatever molecules that you come across.
Yeah.
It's like taste, when we taste, we can differentiate between different tastes.
Yes.
So similarly, they can differentiate between, I mean, we can too, to a very small extent. We can say something smells nice or smells bad.
Yes.
But these guys have such an advanced sense of smell
Yeah.
that it's I think entirely another world.
Yamang. So this is a very, very pretty tree that is blossoming after the rains. In the local language, we call this Korakaha.
Yes.
Korakaha, or also known as blue mist. It also blossoms out after the southwest monsoon. And when it does, much of the areas where these plants are, the forest converts itself into patches of purple in the morning light, and it's extremely pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, you have this lot of the little flowers along the stems and the twigs. It's a beautiful tree.
So the moment the rains come, first rains come after the drought, it's almost like a waiting game. The forest springs back to life, and the flowers come out first, then the fruits, and it naturally becomes a time of plenty for most of the animals who have somewhat endured 3.5 months of tough time to negotiate through the drought. And all of a sudden, everything starts to happen.
Yeah, I think some of the animals also, I mean, we don't have hibernation, but they do go into some sort of less active periods, the smaller animals particularly. And also, especially the trees, a lot of them, the leaves fall down and they sort of go into some sort of lowered activity till it starts raining again. And then, yeah, like you say, it's the spring of life.
Yeah. And for the children who are watching, you can see this even at your back garden. You don't always have to come to the forest to see this cycle of life coming to, springing out with vigor. Because just watch when you have 1.5 months of dry period and a sudden rain, and check in the evening how many frogs are in your garden. So these animals wait till the season change. They just kind of go into their hiding places, lower their metabolism, lower their heart rates and wait. It's an amazing way they have evolved to ride through tough times. And the moment the rains come, it's almost like some people taking a Red Bull. It's not a good thing to do, but these guys do it naturally, and they are up and about doing their thing.
Well, those natural highs can always come in handy. You and I both know that.
That's right.
But with our shots of coffee to get into the mood. So very quickly, we have a few questions now while we have the time. Ravindra says, this is an absolute wonder. Thank you so much for the initiative. Oh, you're very welcome, Ravindra, and really appreciate you joining us today. Graham says, Chitral mentioned that the cubs were the Mahasilava ones. What's the name of their mother who we saw?
Graham, actually, I'm not 100% positive because of that. I can't answer that question, because to identify a leopard, you have to have a close look at its face or the special identification marks. Otherwise, it's going to be not accurate. But we have not seen such close footage, so we assume that it's a Mahasilva cub because they were in the same vicinity of those Mahasilva cubs. Sorry, I can't give you the exact name of that.
Dimitri wanted to know where we are. We are at Yala National Park. Dimitri, thank you for joining us and good morning to you. Shayana says, I heard at the beginning that we are in Block 1 at Yala. Is this the most popular area for leopards?
Absolutely. This is the most popular area for leopards, and then please do visit Yala if you come to Sri Lanka. Yeah.
Danushka wants to know, how do you identify a leopard and what differentiates them from each other?
Oh, very interesting question, Dimitri, no?
No, Danushka.
Danushka, every animal has, we inherit our features from our father and mother. Like humans, we can distinguish one from the other easily. So similar to the animals, every animal, every individual can be identified separately. For leopards, it's easy because the face markings are different, side markings are different, and if you look at them very carefully, take some pictures and then analyze from one to the other, you can easily identify them with the face markings and their side markings.
Yeah. Kokulu. Pintarයක් නම් ගහ.
Huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look at this.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, it's really a cute freshwater crab in the mouth of the ibis.
And right next to him is a red shank, which is usually a migrant here, one of the waders.
Yeah.
Sort of one of the medium-sized waders that are one of the commoner ones here that come for the winter.
Yeah, and we expect a lot more of those as we go into December, and the lagoons and the shallow waters will be hosting hundreds, if not thousands, of waders who will be flying in for the season.
Right. And hopefully we should also have some of the ducks, the gargani, the pintail.
Yes. Sri Lanka is a brilliant place for bird watchers and bird photography tours. The migration starts around mid-late September, and some of the entry points into the island of this bird migration is more up north. So the lagoons of Jaffna and Mannar comes into action, and all the bird watchers and the photographers move in from December until about early March to Mannar, which is in the northwestern coast, and the northern peninsula, which is absolutely beautiful for bird watching. The number of birds in Sri Lanka almost doubles during the migration. From about 256, it goes in excess of 500 with the visitors. And one of the aspects which is a big USP in bird watching is the flamingos that come to Mannar and Jaffna.
Right.
And you can see a couple of thousand flamingos in the lagoons of Jaffna near Elephant Pass, which is a breathtaking sight.
So what we have here is, of course, the black-headed ibis, which is kind of similar to the sacred ibis.
Yes.
But we also have the glossy ibis, and that is, of course, a little bit rarer. And some of them are migrants, whereas there are some which may also be staying over.
Okay.
But the black-headed ibis is a resident, and you have them breeding in places like Yala. It has a curved bill with which it is now looking for things in the mud. And again, like the painted stork, the head area and the part of the neck is bare of feathers, so that when it pokes in the mud, it doesn't get all dirtied up. In the breeding plumage, actually, I think this guy is coming into breeding plumage because you can see the darker plumes on the back, and then they also get a little bit of orangish color, I think, when they are well into breeding plumage.
Yep. Okay, that's us. Yeah.
Beautiful little green
Beater.
beater. Yep,
You're getting there.
I am. Oh, so we have a question from Shani. Good morning to you, dear. She says, are there any panthers at Yala?
I assume that she's referring to the black leopard as panther, but the black leopard is a melanistic form of the same leopard that we have seen. It's a sort of a genetic deformation, so that the yellow part, color of the skin will become black, so that it looks like a black leopard. And that's a genetic deformation. It's called melanistic in science. But we don't have, so far the black leopard has not been reported in Yala National Park. But in Sri Lanka, there are three, few black leopard sightings have been reported. Unfortunately, confirmed three black leopard sightings were all dead. Dead carcasses because of the trapping and things like that. But there was one live footage came from the Department of Wildlife Conservation. But they're mostly in the wet part of Sri Lanka, where the forest is dark, and that it appears that genes is in that area, in the Central Mountain area, and sort of a Denia area. We have reported one, and but not in Yala, unfortunately. There's one famous black leopard that you will see in southern part of India, in one of those national parks in southern India, but not in Sri Lanka.
Right. I was just watching the wee bird here, the green bee-eater. He kept going backwards and forwards. So that was what you talked about yesterday.
That's right, yeah.
Eating.
It's also, again, common birds in Yala National Park. And what you see here is the crested hawk eagle. Yeah. And, let's go back to the field camera, Chitral and Dr. Fernando.
Okay, I think they're not. Yep, can't quite connect with them at the moment. They'll be back. So tell us more. Beautiful wings. I mean, didn't see any of those yet. So this is for Yala specifically. That these.
No, this is actually this particular species in the dry part of Sri Lanka and some, wet part of Sri Lanka too. This looks like a juvenile. That is why it didn't get the sort of brownish color in its feathers. So the juvenile changeable hawk eagle, and used to be crested hawk eagle. And in the morning, of course, he's waiting to see whether he can snatch anything from the ground for breakfast.
That time of the day. I was saying about the little green bee-eater. She or he kept going backwards and forwards. We're sitting on a rock at ground level. So is that not something they're not threatened by the fact that there are leopards roaming around?
Well, birds don't, birds usually don't care about the leopards because they can easily fly, and sometimes the leopard is not really interested to catch birds unless it's really big, like a peacock, something like that. Because not just tiny, bee eaters. For leopards, well, it's like a peanut for us.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure.
So,
I think
I don't think he would spend too much of energy to catch bee eaters. So they are not afraid of large cats. But the small cats, yes, they are afraid of, which like the jungle cat and the rusty spotted cats. Those are the small cats that you will see in the wilds of Sri Lanka.
So Dimitri wants to know which part of Yala are the Jamburagala rocks located, and are there blocks that we aren't allowed to visit as tourists?
Yes, Dimitri, the Jamburagala rocks are located in the sort of at almost beginning, almost sort of a first section of the Yala National Park. As you enter to the park, and there's one road towards the left, and if you take that road, you will see the Jamburagala rocks very easily. Not very far from the main gate. Within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you will be in the Jamburagala rocks area. The other question is there are blocks that visitors are not allowed to visit. There are 5 blocks in Yala National Park covering 97,000 hectares. That's a whole lot of land, and the visitors are allowed to visit only block 1 and block 2. And block 2, of course, you have to have the special permit to visit with 2 4-wheel drives.
Wonderful. Well, I think it is time to go back into the field. So we'll just give the guys a chance to tell us what they're seeing right now.
Yeah, let's see.
We are on the southeast tip of Sri Lanka, and this is Yala National Park. The place we call is the home of the leopard, and Dr. Pruthu and I are here with the full crew to bring our viewers on couch safari for the next 4 days, all that is wild from Yala.
Yeah, absolutely, Chitral. I think this is the high point of the whole tour. I mean, we had some fantastic times in Kolkata, and then the Malawi is now with Yala, and this is the beginning of the great journey, I think, for the Yala part of the safari.
Yala is almost the showcase of conservation in Sri Lanka, and though it's known for its leopards, it's not only about its leopards. There are 43 more mammals in this amazing wilderness, more than 200 birds, reptiles, and it's also one of the greatest places in Asia to see the mugger crocodiles. So for the next 4 days, morning and evening, we'll be streaming from this amazing wilderness, which it's almost very close to our hearts because everybody wants to come to Yala today. Sometimes it almost gets crowded, but it is because of this magic, the passion, where people come here to see its leopards. So everybody comes here, Doc, to see the leopards. It's almost an obsession, but leopards do perform here.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it's one of the best places in the whole world to see the leopards.
I would seriously believe, having traveled a bit on leopard safaris, that Yala could be amongst the top 3 places in the world by far to see the leopard. And the magic here is that the leopards are the top predator.
Right.
There aren't any hyenas, lions or tigers to threaten it. That could be the reason why Yala's leopards walk the day sometimes as much as they walk the night.
Right. So I think, Yala is a beautiful, brilliant, diverse, wonderful place. I think we are privileged to be here.
Well, we can definitely sense the excitement between Dr. Fernando and Chitra. It's obviously very passionate about this area. Tell us about this incredible coastline that we're seeing right now.
This is actually from Butto, the footage that came from earlier from Butto Rocks, that's just in front of the Butto bungalow, and there are a few bungalows within the block 1 of Yala, so that the visitors can book these bungalows and stay inside the park. But that's from Butto Rocks, just in front of the old Butto bungalow. And what you see here is the Indian Ocean, the coastline of the Yala National Park. There are places that visitors can get down and enjoy the coastline, beauty of the coastline of Yala National Park. There are about 20 plus kilometers of coastline belongs to the Yala National Park that has one of the best sand dunes in Sri Lanka. It's about 15 to 20 meter high sand dunes, very healthy sand dunes in Sri Lanka.
Amazing. Oh, Chanel wants to know when will the national parks be open? Chanel, I wish we had that answer.
Right
Well,
away.
this is why Couch Safari is coming to you. It's the first time we're doing this in Sri Lanka, and we're aiming to showcase the rich biodiversity and the natural beauty of Sri Lanka as a result, because we have no idea. Oh, is that a
Yeah, the water buffalo.
buffalo, isn't it?
Water buffalo. It doesn't look like it's a wild one. Maybe, I mean, as I said earlier, also in our earlier streaming, there are domesticated buffaloes also getting into the park
Right.
sometimes, and they become victim for leopards. You know, it's easy for leopards to, eat them, catch them. But
The wild-
that's, wild ones are also there. Wild.
And they're fine with the leopards being there?
Well, of course, the leopards always try to snatch the baby buffaloes. There's
course.
one particular leopard in Yala. It has a reputation of killing young buffaloes.
It's a great shot there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. But they love these kind of small water puddles. They can just sit down and to cool off their body. They need a lot of water. That is what's called water buffaloes.
Of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very logical. Renee says, blessed to be on this small island with such a huge biodiversity of birds, plant life and mammals. It is indeed. Renee, thank you so much for watching this morning, and I'm glad that you're enjoying Couch Safari. Rose says, have been to Yala last year. Absolutely magnificent. Well, thank you, Rose, for sharing. I believe we are actually going into a commercial break, and so we want you to stay right there. It's more. We're going to have more footage of leopards. Hopefully, it's looking good. Today's a good day. So thank you for joining us, and stay with us. Quick commercial break, and we'll get right back to it.
This is a strange behavior. We're seeing a large croc migrating between waterholes, Doc. We just had the rains filling up some of the dried waterholes. And we see these two crocs walking across the plain
Not one, but two.
in perfect light, almost getting back to their favorite waterholes.
Right,
With
so-
the seasonal rains replenishing the drying tanks.
They probably, I mean, they do kind of hibernate in the height of the drought. So, like you say, they're probably responding to the rains and now getting back to their favorite watering holes.
And there you are, they're just getting into the water.
We do have two species of crocodiles in Sri Lanka, the mugger crocodile and the salty.
Yes.
And here actually you do get both species.
They're sliding into the water. That's where they thrive.
We have a beautiful stag standing in the water, the
The samba deer.
samba deer.
It's a beautiful male stag, almost giving us a beautiful pose on a clear morning. This is lovely.
Lovely picture. So the samba is of course the biggest of the 5 species of deer that we have.
Yes. And for photographers who come here looking for what's wild in Yala, a message is that if you're keen on photographing leopards, Yala is a fantastic place. But being a photographer myself, let's enjoy everything that is wild in this amazing park, because you don't see leopards all the time. Leopards are cleverer than most of us, so they will hide, they will give us an opportunity every now and then. But in between leopard sightings, everything else will entertain you, and if you learn to enjoy what's wild as you spend quality time in these areas, the leopard opportunities will come. But just imagine this location, the Butova Plains, perfect sunlit morning, and a male samba deer giving us this pose. I'm not sure whether I'll trade this for a leopard moment, Doc, but comes close.
Yeah, I think this is it's a lovely sight. I mean, it's very, very impressive stag and beautiful light.
Oh, there you go. It's gently moving across.
There's another one. What's happening? There's another croc.
Yeah, it's like day of the crocodile migration. Right.
What's happening, Chital? Is this a crocodile parade today?
Oh, looks like they're probably keen to show themselves up for the couch safari.
Yeah, this is not a usual sight at all to see them walking across land like this.
This truly is not a common sight. Generally, we don't catch crocs moving between waterholes this easily. I would have been happy with one of those, but this is the third in a row.
That's unbelievable.
The Samba is crossing the shallow waters here. He is very comfortable in the water. But the behavior he is showing with the tail up in the air just shows that these animals are naturally cautious, watchful, looking around always because they never know where the leopards are hiding.
So we have the Samba right, and right in front another water buffalo.
Yes.
He's certainly looking around. The Samba, the buffalo is totally unconcerned. I think we have a myna riding on his back, being
There
for a
is.
little joyride.
There's a hitchhiking myna.
Oh, they do the job of the African oxpeckers here.
They do. They really do the job of the oxpeckers. And there is a egret trying hard to find its breakfast.
So here we have the second egret, Chitral. I think this is a median egret
Yes.
because he now has the breast plumes as well as the back plumes,
Yep.
but not the head plumes. And also
And we were just saying that for the animals, knowing that there's a high density of leopards living in that environment, they are probably high stress most of the time, isn't it?
Totally, because Yala is known to be high density of leopards, and all the prey items of Yala, like the samba deer and the spotted deers, they always on alert. You never know what time when these leopards just jump on them, and that is why they always has to be very careful wherever they move. And yes, high stress situation.
The brink of a fight or flight reaction.
That's right.
What is this little?
This is called dung beetles. It's a very interesting tiny creature that live on the ground. And it's very interesting. Even though it's a tiny creature, sometimes the leopard prey on these dung beetles. There are, when they analyze the leopard dung, you will find the body parts of this dung beetle. That shows that the leopard is capable of, not capable, like, it just preys on the wide range of prey items, from the dung beetle to the large samba deer. But this particular dung beetle is just roll the feces of animal feces in the wild. And in Yala, there are a lot of research has been conducted on this particular creature, the dung beetle. Very interesting behavior. Most species can roll, 10 to 15 times of its body weight, and some species, not in Sri Lanka, can roll up to 250 times its body weight. So it's amazing, very fascinating beetle. And then they take this feces bowl to their den, the hiding place, and they're feeding on that. Sometimes the female lay eggs inside this dung beetle, so the dung bowl. So the dung is a big part of their survival. I mean, that is how you can see the food web of natural world. Even the tiny ones are connected to the feces of large mammals, and the large mammals prey on these tiny ones also, and that is how the food web is get connected to in any natural environment.
Fascinating. That is really fascinating. Look
now
at that.
He started
Look
rolling
at that.
now. Yeah. So it'll become like a ball. So he's using the back legs to roll it. It's just amazingly fascinating.
Incredible.
I mean, I love to see these guys all the time. People will come to Yala to see the leopards and bears and elephants and big boys. But these little guys also gives you a different perspective of life, different perspective of struggle, fascinating ecology of their behavior and things like that. Just see how it's rolling its dung ball.
And over blocks as well. I mean, so he's...
Sometimes the female also follow the male and behind this dung ball.
But he gains the momentum so that
He
he can
gains
get
the momentum.
over the little pebbles and
That's
what
right.
would otherwise stop him.
Yeah, just imagine the power of its back leg, and he's using the front legs to push the ball. Yeah,
It's quite entertaining.
quite. entertaining.
Quite almost good for an animation of some sort.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Well, while we're talking about feeding on dung, I guess it's not as appropriate, but Uber Eats has very kindly come on board to support Couch Safari. And so while you're watching this magnificent wildlife, you can eat and explore with Uber Eats. Use the promo code YALA30 to get 30% off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. today, mind you. So we're definitely offering you breakfast with this offer. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order to receive your discount. This code is valid only for one order above 800 rupees placed before 10 a.m. again. So definitely get those orders in. A maximum discount of 300 rupees per order is available to you. Thank you, Uber Eats, for your support of Couch Safari. Now this is a first sighting for us. Cute little thing.
Black nape hare. It's common in Yala National Park. This is also in the menu of leopard.
Really?
Yeah.
But obviously quick to get away, and so that is his
That's
hope for
right.
any kind of survival.
But sometimes leopard is winning in
Right.
that battle, even though black nape hare is faster.
So the back of his neck is black. Is that what
That's
I'm seeing?
right. The nape area is black. And they are out now because there's a lot of new grass is sprouting with the rain, and they love to nibble that new grass, nutrients, and it's tasty. New grass is tasty.
Now we have a question from Nimesh. Good morning to you, Nimesh. He wants to know, what is the best national park to spot bears?
Nimesh, I would say that Yala, Vilpattu and Kumana are the three national parks to see sloth bears. The best season to see them is the month of May and June because the palu season, there's a fruit called palu, Manilkara hexandra, one of the dominant plants in the dry part of Sri Lanka in all three national parks, which is Vilpattu, Yala and Kumana. And during that palu season, the leopards can be seen very easily. So please do visit these three places if you are really interested on sloth bears.
Got another question from Prabodh. He wants to know, how can we identify or distinguish the difference between the water buffalo and the wild buffalo?
Prabodh, it's an interesting question because there are two types of buffaloes. The wild one is called Bubalis ani in scientific name, but the horn is much wider and large, and the body size is huge, larger. And also, if you some males or some animals has a sort of a pinkish tint on their body, the hair, and that's how you identify the wild ones. The water buffaloes are much smaller, and the horn is much sort of a smaller and narrower, the between two horns. That's how you just distinguish both two species of buffaloes.
Interesting, very interesting. Quick reminder, if you want to check out our competition where you can win a holiday to Sri Lanka, srilanka.travel/wildlife stream is where you want to get in the information.
Two jackals, could be more. They seem to be crossing the plains. There could be a chance where I might come all the way and cross the road, so we'll watch.
So this is the golden jackal, Canis aureus.
Yes.
Which is fairly widespread, but it is the only member of the dog family in Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful animal. It's like a smallish dog with a bushy tail.
There are three, actually. There you go, on the gap. They are moving to our right, coming between the two trees. That's number 2. And we will hopefully see the third one. Oh, he just sat down and lied there. That's nice. The third one is more in the... Oh, there's a wild boar coming from the other side.
Lots of action, huh?
Yeah, it's that's what Yala is about.
Yala is living up to its reputation.
Absolutely, there is something happening most of the time. Are kote pate wasa unala hello nande?
Koda illa set එකක් ඉන්නවා.
කොතන?
ඉල්ල එකක් තියෙනවා.
ඇත්තට ඒක තමයි මම බැලුවේ. මම බැලුවේ මොකක්ද හෙලවුනේ කියලා පැතලිය අත.
The other jackal is coming now. Two together.
Okay, let's go. So there is a kill there. There's a carcass, so we don't know whether it was brought down by a leopard, but that is why the pigs, the wild boar and the jackals are here in numbers. They're all closing in while there are a couple of crocodiles feeding on the carcass. It's a large carcass. It almost looks like a buffalo. Can't be absolutely sure, but there's a big mugger crocodile feeding on it now. Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, so the wild boar are also pretty omnivorous. They will also scavenge and feed on carcasses if they get the chance.
Well, the jackals are coming back under the frame. There's a lot of activity. All the scavenging animals are there, taking maximum use of a large carcass.
You can see a big male wild boar behind with nice tusks.
I'm still trying to identify what the carcass is. It's a bit difficult at the angle we're seeing.
It's quite big, isn't it? So
It is big. It's got to be a buffalo. I don't know whether
buffalo,
a buffalo probably fell through sickness or something, because you can see a large crocodile moving the carcass a little bit while it's feeding on it. So the forest has an amazingly efficient system of breaking down a decaying body. If it is brought down by a leopard or a big cat anywhere in the world, they will take first use of it. And then the scavenging animals in Sri Lanka, being the wild boar, the jackals, the porcupines at night, will move in. And there's another crocodile who has been having a feast, walking away from the carcass. Yasas, a little on the foreground to the left of the carcass. You can see he's probably had its belly full. He's quietly moving back, perhaps towards the water. And then what's remaining of that is then taken care of by the ants and the termites later. So you give a week and there is hardly anything remaining other than a few bones. So that is the perfect system of completing the circle of life. What's here becomes a part of the soil, and when you die out as a wild animal, it becomes food for everything else that lives along with you and the environment. So there's not really any waste, and everything is connected like a chain. The wild boar is awfully close to that crocodile, isn't it?
yeah, there are two very big crocodiles there. Then there was another one on the other side. I guess he's waiting his turn.
Yeah, there is a bit of a hierarchy amongst crocs, isn't it, Doc? They're generally careful when the big boys come. The slightly younger ones give some space.
Yes.
And the crocodiles do have a very acute sense of smell, Doc. I've seen once I was filming with Ammonite,
now you
UK.
can see the croc.
Oh, they're jerking. They're almost.
So now you can see 3 or 4 crocs there.
So our expert driver Janaka tells me it's a large sambar deer. Yeah, it looks like it because it has the. Yeah. The croc is feeding. It just broken off a bit
now
of
you
meat.
can see the kill better.
Yes, it is a sambar. Thank you, Janaka. That was excellent. So it is a sambar, and yeah, it could be a leopard kill. Leopards do bring down sambar. Must have had its fill a couple of times, and the leopard may be around still, maybe on a tree watching at a distance, but after it's really full, it can lose a bit of interest in defending the carcass, and that's when the next line of animals moves in to take maximum use. And crocs, being animals that has excellent sense of smell, they can smell a carcass up to a kilometer, they say. They'll move out from their water holes and then walk towards the carcass, eat as much as they can, and then move back to the safety of the water.
So do you think the crocodile parade we saw earlier in the day was people coming and having a snack and going back.
I think you made a very pertinent point there, because that parade happened about half a kilometer from here.
Not too far.
It could be that there have been an overnight party here.
A crocodile party.
A crocodile party. And the ones who had enough were probably moving back to the waters. That makes a lot of sense. So in the jungles of Sri Lanka, if you watch for a while and stay patiently, you can actually connect the dots, like exactly what we did. If you just saw 3 crocodiles moving in the open plains, you start wondering why, because they're not animals who generally like to walk. They've had quite a few showers in the last 2.5, 3 weeks. There's enough water, there's no desperate need for them to cross from hole to hole of water, but now we seem to have connected the dots and the story becomes complete.
You will see a horn on that. It's either a samba or a buffalo. Still not very clear.
Yeah, looks like a love. Definitely looks like a love. Yes, I was rolling there. Camera is rolling.
So the crocs grab hold of a piece, break it off, and then gulp it down, and then just lie there for a while, and then they take another bite after another 10 minutes. I guess they are in no hurry. So crocodiles, of course, cannot chew off a piece, so they have to grab it and try to tear it off.
Yeah.
And in the water, of course, you will see them actually turning, rolling so that they can tear it off. Here they are a little bit more constrained, I guess.
We were filming predation by crocodiles in this drought in a couple of waterholes, Doc, in the last 6 weeks. We'll try and go to one of those places tomorrow.
Okay.
To see whether there is any more of the activity left.
Right.
With the recent rains, but what we saw in the last 6 weeks was unbelievable. Was that leopard or the boar, wild boar? There was a semi-growl. It could have been the leopard, it could be the wild boar. We'll keep watching for a while. When we started filming this predation by the crocs in the drought, we didn't know what we would actually get. So we had a team of 3 men doing this, and the boys were asking me, we don't know how long we will have to wait, but I said, the crocs seem to be patient. Let's mimic them and do exactly that, and would you believe, In 5 weeks of filming, we saw almost 7 strikes by crocodiles.
Wow.
And
So
a
you
few-
actually saw them catching them?
Absolutely, several times you have everything on
Amazing.
film.
Wonderful.
Absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
So if you're patient, what you can see is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the thing about wildlife is that you need to really observe and watch for things to happen. You know, it's not a zoo, so
Yeah.
you have to have patience. And I think that's an important life lesson, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, they say patience is a virtue, but to me, if you want to be a nature photographer, a lot of young children who sometimes work in the field with me ask, what is the key aspect? I said, just have patience and an attitude where you never give up. You can come to the jungles, spend 3 days and not go back with a single image that is worthy of celebrating. But that doesn't mean that you stop coming, because you're here not only for the pictures, you're here for this moment, this fresh air hitting our face, you and I having this chat. It's almost too good. So you're enjoying the moment, enjoying the company, enjoying that free quality time in the wilderness, whilst every opportunity you rake that in. And if the perfect leopard shot comes, fabulous, and it will come.
Right.
And nature will give you moments to remember, and nature will bless those who are patient.
Absolutely.
Jackals are quietly closing in.
Just too many crocs all around.
Yeah, they are nervous with the crocs. As you can see, they're keeping the distance. They're smart. Crafty jackals always.
Poor jackals, I don't know why they got this crafty name tag on them.
Some kind of marketing, I think, yeah, but
I guess somehow the dog family seems to be always the guy who's the bad guy, like, Wiley the coyote and
yes, yeah,
the crafty
The
jackal
crafty
and the
fox
big bad
and-
wolf.
and the stories are endless, isn't it? I mean, even in Sri Lankan local culture, we always say kapati nariya.
Exactly.
That means the crafty jackal. But even if you take Western culture, I mean, when I was a little kid, my mom used to relate the Red Riding Hood,
Uh-huh.
right? And it's all
With the
about
big bad
this
wolf, right?
with the big bad wolf. So in every culture, I think somehow these animals got branded as the too smart animal in the jungle.
Isn't that really strange? On the
It is.
other hand, the dog is considered man's best friend.
Absolutely,
Quite a turnaround, isn't it?
it is.
The bad guy became the best friend.
It's almost the two sides of the same coin.
Uh-huh.
One is branded as crafty and the big bad chap, and the other one becomes the best friend. Amazing.
Yeah, I think even jackals are, wonderful animals, and not much is really known about them. I don't think there have been any studies. Definitely not in Sri Lanka.
Sadly not.
I haven't really seen much even in other places either. But they do have a social system, and
Yeah.
of course there are many studies about the wild dogs and
Yes.
hyenas and things
Very
like
much.
that.
Yes.
And all these animals have very, very interesting lives.
Yes.
So maybe one of these youngsters who's weaving the couch safari will in the future do some,
that would be a
wonderful
dream,
studies
isn't
on these wonderful animals.
If this little effort, the 9 days of streaming by Sri Lanka Tourism, inspires one youngster to become a conservationist or a researcher, his entire effort would have borne enough fruit. That's the magic. Every attempt like this, every time we tell a story of the jungles, we celebrate it on film and share it across the world. It is for entertainment, but it is also with a humble prayer that we might convert 1 or 2 youngsters into those who will carry the flag of conservation.
It's definitely a community affair, isn't it, Vimal?
That's
what
right.
we just
Yeah.
witnessed.
Yeah. I think it must
Amazing.
have been a leopard kill, but you have noticed that so many different species also got benefited from one kill. The jackals, the wild boars, crocodiles, and little ones you wouldn't see. I'm sure that other small ones, rats and things like that. Also, in other small carnivores will get benefit from one kill. I mean, these are some of the ecological connections between the species. Yeah, that's how it is.
And would you say this might sound silly, but it's almost like a trust factor that they know they're not going to eat each other and that they're there for a sole project.
That's right.
Isn't
yeah,
it? It's
yeah.
quite interesting, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is interesting.
In any other instance, they might be each other's meal ticket,
That's
so
right, yeah.
Interesting.
But here they are trying to sort of, avoid each other and try to, get the opportunity to, get something for them. These are spotted deers, of course, one of the most commonest in dry part of Sri Lanka, in the lowland dry zone.
Right.
And they're out in numbers now because of the rain, and new grass species is coming up, and you can see up close how they love to consume this grass species. And time to time they also have to watch around because of the big man.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So once again, a quick reminder, if you'd like to see this wildlife in real time, face to face, so to speak, please check out our website, www.srilanka.travel/wildlife stream. You can get all the information about the competition that we have right now to win a free trip to Sri Lanka. It's definitely worth your while. Easy to enter and very simple. And you have a good chance of being in to win. So, yeah. Also want to say thank you to Uber Eats for joining us, supporting Couch Safari. Uber Eats has a special offer for you, so you want to take advantage of that because it is actually over at 10 o'clock. While you watch our magnificent wildlife, you can eat and explore with Uber Eats. Use the promo code YALA30 to get 30% off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. today. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order to receive your discount. The code is valid for one order only, above 800 rupees, and it has to be placed before 10 o'clock. You get a maximum discount of 300 rupees per order. So that is, of course, for our those who are locals who are in Sri Lanka at the moment. Thank you again to Uber Eats. Now, we've got a few questions about crocodiles. We saw quite a few earlier on this morning. We've got Ushani asking, do we have alligators in Sri Lanka?
No, we don't have alligators here in Sri Lanka, Ushani. Alligators can be found in United States, in the northern hemisphere, and some areas in China. We don't have that here in Sri Lanka. We have only 2 species of crocodiles.
Right. Also to Sun Sri Lanka Holidays once says hello to you. Can you please give some information on crocodile species in Sri Lanka?
Yes, we do have 2 species of crocodiles, which is the mugger crocodile, also known as the marsh crocodile, and also the saltwater crocodiles. Saltwater crocodile and the Nile crocodile. Nile crocodile is not in Sri Lanka. Nile crocodile and saltwater crocodile is considered as the largest reptiles on the planet. They can go up to about 20 feet. But in Sri Lanka, we have 2 species, which is the mugger and saltwater. Saltwater crocodiles are associated with the marshy habitats, the mangroves, and the larger rivers. And mostly in the western part of Sri Lanka, you will see saltwater crocodiles. But in Yala area also, you will see both species, both muggers and saltwater crocodiles. So those are the 2 species that can be found. We'll give you more details. We are getting some footage from the field. Let's go back to the cameras.
Yes.
Oh, this is nice, Doc. We have a few elephants in the Yala National Park this morning. They're reaching out to the fresh leaves on the higher plateau.
So yes, here they are feeding on a due tree, Limonia acidissima, or the wood apple as it is
Yes.
popularly known. And so you see that many of the wood apple trees here have what's called crown distortion,
Okay.
because when they feed on the wood apple, they basically break the branches, the twigs,
Okay.
and strip the leaves and eat the twigs.
Yeah.
So they actually have an impact on what the sort of the landscape,
Yeah.
but perhaps not to the extent of in Africa.
Yeah.
And also, Chitra, this is part of the Gamunu group.
Okay.
This female probably looks like Sashi.
Sashi.
Yes.
Alright.
So this is a group that we have been studying since 1993.
Okay.
So it's probably one of the best studied Asian elephant populations in the world.
Yeah.
So we now have seen like 2 or 3 generations of them. So
Yeah.
for example, this Gamunu group has about 35 females, and some of the older females that were there when we started have now passed on.
Okay.
And now some of the babies that we saw are already producing calves. So we have kind of seen 3 generations.
Yeah. So Dangari is no more.
Dangari is no more. Dangari was actually not part of this herd.
Okay.
That was another herd. Dangari's herd is not seen much anymore.
Okay.
That was one of the herds that we initially had a collar on. But Gamunu's herd, we call it the Gamunu herd because the famous Tusker Gamunu,
Yes.
who's no longer a Tusker now and become a Alia or an elephant,
Elephant.
because he lost both his tusks.
Yeah.
First one and then the other also.
Yeah.
So he was born to this herd.
Okay.
So he was born somewhere around 1990-91.
Yes.
And so he still sometimes comes and joins his sisters, his aunts, his cousins,
Okay.
and spends a bit of time with the herd. But of course, as an adult male, he's most of the time alone. And we have also seen the Gamunu's herd sort of gradually drift into 2 subgroups.
Yeah.
So this is one part of the subgroup of the entire group. We almost never see all 30-35 elephants together. And unlike in Minneriya Kaudula, where we saw large groups of elephants,
Yeah.
here we often see only much smaller numbers together at a time.
Yeah.
So most often maybe 4 or 5 elephants, 2 or 3 females, and then there are young ones, the calves. Now here again you hear a rumble.
Yeah. There's a bit of communication going on, don't
That's right. That's right.
It's just like a passing a message, I believe.
That's right.
And you said this female probably is Sashi. Now, for the benefit of the viewers, Dr. Prithviraj has been studying elephants in Yala for about 25 years now.
Yeah, since 93.
Since 1993, and most of these herds have been extensively studied, and most of the matriarchs and the senior females, also the males, have been named. So if there is any young lady or a child by the name of Sashi amongst the viewers, I think you're very lucky. It's almost such a pleasure to have your name shared with one of these majestic animals.
And we see just behind her is a big male.
Yes.
It's probably giving this female a bit of attention here.
Yeah, you can see the size difference clearly.
Yes. And you can also see the nasal prominence, it really bulges out.
Yes. So in Sri Lanka, in most areas where the elephants are studied, and especially the tuskers, they are all named. And we also have a group of enthusiasts now who is doing a study about leopards in Yala, and they are also naming most of them. So it's good. It creates character. It's like the tigers in India. I mean, when you go to Ranthambore, all the tigers are named. They have a T number, which is, let's say, T19 can be Krishna in Ranthambore. We have very colorful names here, from Lucas to
Julius to, the spectrum is so wide. But as we see the leopards, we will bring you the names. Yesterday, the leopard we saw walking along the road and going to its carcass was a strawberry. And let me say that again, strawberry. It's a rather a fruity name for a leopard, but well, I'm not sure why it was called so, but it is strawberry, and a very tolerant leopard, tolerant of jeeps, and that was what she was exactly doing, just passing by our jeep, almost a touching distance, and walked gently towards its kill or the carcass. Off good. Somebody made it take a white youth and a very rich than Aslanti go at a like.
Be one of our colored females, so we can't really see her.
They're almost scraping the leaves off the twigs, isn't it?
Yeah, the wood apple, see now she's breaking the twig
Yes.
and taking the twig. They don't really eat the leaves, they eat the twigs.
Okay. So what they were doing is probably scraping off the leaves, and then
yes.
break the twig.
And eat the twig, yes. They also eat the fruit, the wood apple.
Yes.
And there is also used to be a belief, sometimes you find these wood apples on the ground among elephant dung piles, and it is empty.
Yes.
It's whole,
Yeah.
but it has a hard shell. Perhaps we can find a wood apple later during the day.
Yeah.
And but this is empty inside. It's only the shell. So people thought that this is a wood apple that an elephant has swallowed, and somehow the insides got digested, leaving the shell empty.
Okay.
But actually, that's not true. Every elephant that I've seen eating wood apple, they crunch it.
Yeah. That's how they get the taste, I believe.
Yes. But this is actually due to an insect.
Yeah.
I believe it might even be a butterfly,
Okay.
where the caterpillar feeds on the inside and then comes out, leaving the entire shell intact.
All right. There used to be a colorful story where the elephants, with its weak digestion system, kind of passes through the wood apple, and the gastric juices somehow absorbs the
Extract the
interior. Well,
That's right.
That was just a folk belief, but the
Right.
true sense is that insect is working inside the fruit.
Right. So here we see that the male is now, keeping company with these females, with this group.
Yes.
But after a while, of course, he will probably wander off on his own. But if there was a estrus female, then you'll find a number of males
Yeah.
being attracted there.
So traditionally we don't see large herds like in Kaudula Minneri in Yala. They are smaller cow herds ranging from about 6 to 14, 17 animals. Never seen anything more than 20 generally here.
Right.
Is there a special reason for that, Doc?
It's the habitat. So you see, here there's hardly any grass. There's a little bit of grass in some of the open areas, very short grass, so that they can only feed on by kicking on it.
Yeah.
And that only in a very short window of time
Yeah.
during when it is not too wet and not too dry.
Yeah.
So otherwise, in Yala, elephants are mostly browsers.
Yeah.
They don't get much grass at all. So now they are coming into the better part of the year, in
Yes.
contrast to the Minneri Kaudula elephant,
Yeah.
which are now going into the less good part of the year.
That part of the country.
But that is because for them, the dry season is a bounty.
Yes.
At that time they have a much nicer, much greater resource.
Yes.
So comparatively, what these elephants would call the good season
Yeah.
for the Minere Kaurula is really the bad season.
Okay. You can clearly see how they are now attacking
So
the
now she
top
picked
part
off
of
a
the
whole branch,
and feeding
now
on
they
the
are- now there you go. She
Yes.
strips off the leaves.
yes and chewing the branch.
Chewing the branch.
Yeah, very meticulous work there. Again, you can see clearly stripping the leaves off, and they're chewing on the bark. So that is, of course, the damage they cause for the trees. But the elephants do move while feeding. They don't stay as territorial animals. So there is time for the trees to recover.
Yes, so elephants are not territorial, so you have overlapping ranges between groups, between males. So yes, you are perfectly right. Now this tree, they will not eat it till it is completely gone.
Yeah.
At some point, it becomes uneconomical
Yes.
for them to spend that time processing, because now this requires a lot of processing. You have to break the branch, you
Yeah.
have to strip it, you have to bite it and eat it. So you are spending energy in acquiring whatever you get from that.
Yes.
So after some point, they will move to another tree. So why and when they make that decision, those are very difficult things to figure out.
Just elephant common sense, I believe.
That's right. Podda.
color එක
Yeah, you can see the
good
color.
shot. You can see.
So now you can see that female has a collar, Chitra.
Yes.
So that's one of the collared females. That is Rolly.
Rolly.
Yes. And so Rolly is, when we started working here in '93, she was a very young female.
Okay.
And then she had her first calf in about '95. That
Okay.
was Romy.
Okay.
And now Romy has her own calf.
Oh wow. Third
So that's
generation.
third generation. Rolly was probably, her mother was probably Manika, who has now passed on. So
Okay.
actually we kind of know 4 generations
Yeah.
of this group.
Oh, Sashi's come and blocked our view of Rolly now. So
So there's another one behind, and there is also a juvenile. And the juvenile, I think, is Shashika,
okay.
who's Shashi's baby. So yeah, these are all members of the Gamono group.
Okay. So very fortunate this morning to capture the Gammon group for a brief period at Yala and to hear from Dr. Prutu of his research, which is spanning almost 27 long years. So some of these studies in island Sri Lanka are amazingly lengthy. We have elephant studies as closing in on 3 decades here by Dr. Prutu. We have Dr. Dieter studying primates in Polonnaruwa for more than 30 years. So there's a lot of studies being going on, and the research data is available for scientists to evaluate and learn from this, and also for the casual visitors who are more than just the casual visitor. If you are in the parks, if you are keen to understand animal behavior, why things happen, it is important to read these papers that are published, and you can gather a wealth of ecological information from these amazing studies done by the scientists in Sri Lanka.
So the Yala elephants kind of a little bit, generally tend to be a little bit smaller in stature.
Okay.
At one time they were called Rohunugata, which means sort of the,
The
shorter,
southern stunted elephant.
yes, so but that is probably due to a response to the harsher environment
Yes.
and the deficiency of food compared to the northwest or north central elephants, which tend to be, taller in stature and more well-built.
Animals do evolve depending on their food resources and their terrain.
Right.
So it's very interesting that these minor changes are there in a single subspecies, perhaps related to the terrain they live in.
So these collars that we use are GPS satellite collars.
Uh-huh.
So once you put the collar on the elephant, in the old days we used to have to track them every day
Yes.
with a VHF receiver and either triangulate or what is called homing in, that is walking towards the increasing signal till you see the elephant.
Yeah.
But these collars also have a VHF for tracking, but in addition they have a GPS unit, which is the main part,
Yes.
and we generally set it to take a GPS position every 4 hours,
Okay.
and then through a satellite link it's sent to us every 2 days or so, the data for that 2 days. So what we found with this tracking of elephants is that elephants in Sri Lanka do not migrate,
Okay.
period. And so their wet season, dry season ranges overlap quite a bit.
Yeah.
There may be some differences, but they still overlap quite a bit.
Mhm.
And we also found that translocating elephants as a sort of a mitigation or a solution to human-elephant conflict just doesn't work. So there are a number of important discoveries made through this collaring program.
Technological advances used in the right way can help both mankind and everything else that lives and shares our planet, isn't it?
Absolutely. So what we are hoping to do in the future is for the government to increase the collaring to a much greater extent, so that you can have an idea, very good idea of habitat use and movement paths of
Yes.
the elephants, especially outside the protected areas
Yeah.
where development takes place,
Mhm.
so that you can guide development in order to minimize the impact of the development on elephants, as well as the negative impacts of elephants on the development, especially when it comes to agricultural development.
It goes both ways, isn't it?
It does go both ways. So the more that we know about these animals, the easier it becomes for us to live with them,
Yes.
rather than come into conflict with them.
Absolutely. That's the key thing. Living with them is the key. We are the more dominant species, so it is up to us to find ways to living with them. Because just imagine if you lose this resource in a country, there will be a hole, it can never be filled.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think we can think of Sri Lanka without elephants,
Yes.
or Sri Lanka without leopards. That's
Yes.
not something.
It's a
you
part
don't
of the
want to-
soul of the country.
Absolutely.
And it's the duty of all of us around the world, to make sure that we do everything possible to admire, celebrate, also conserve the natural world.
Absolutely. So you can also see that some of these elephants are not in such great condition. So that's partly due to the fact that now we've gone through the dry season,
Yes.
so they come through the bad period. And also in Yala, we have also had issues with exceeding of the carrying capacity, because for human-elephant conflict mitigation, elephants have been driven in,
Okay.
and then that created further problems. Now you'll also notice that the male doesn't have any hair
Yes.
at the end of his tail, and it is so someone bit it off and
Yes.
it will fight.
Yes. They look a bit incomplete without the little tail tufts, isn't it? But it's such a large animal, and the tail tufts of an elephant is such a small component, but it does add to its character.
Right. So you can see that they use their trunk so much in feeding. It's pretty much like a hand for them.
Yes. It's totally boneless, isn't it? Just made of muscle.
It's entirely muscle, and I think there are few hundred groups of muscles in the trunk. It's amazingly dexterous. They can increase the length, shorten it. They can use it as a weapon. They can use it as little like a pincer to pick up some small coin.
Yes.
So it's an amazing appendage. It's an extension of the upper lip and the nose.
Yes.
So it's they breathe through that.
Yes.
They smell through that. They eat with it. So imagine what we could do if we had a trunk too.
This one's really coming out of the shrub and giving us a lovely pose.
Still feeding on the wood apple trees.
Yeah.
Stripping the branches.
They're having a feast.
Yeah.
There you go. She's on full camera, full frame, and what a wonderful moment. More communication.
It's a little bit of a trumpet going on there.
And these are the types of images we wanted to bring to our couch safari viewers, to immerse yourselves at the comfort of your home through these bad times, relax and enjoy the natural world of Sri Lanka. And these images are streaming from Yala National Park. We are amongst the small herd of elephants, and one of the ladies are less than 10 meters from the jeep. As you can see, it's getting a little too close for the lens, and my cameraman Yasas might have to go into a wide angle lens, but that's the magic. That's what the couch safari is all about. We invite all of you to sit back, fasten your seat belts and enjoy this moment.
You can also see, the male moved back. So he has a little bit of must secretion on his cheeks.
Okay.
He just moved back. So maybe we go back to Sashi.
Sashi's been a good girl this morning. She's come very close to us, gently feeding. Doesn't show any sign of irritation that we are here. She almost ignores us. There you are, turning onto the other tree.
Yeah, so they stopped feeding on the earlier tree that they were feeding on.
Yeah.
But of course, if you look at it, there's still a lot of green on it. So, but they decided, okay, now it's time to move on to the next tree.
How considerate is that?
Well, I think it's called optimal foraging theory. So basically, animals tend to innately figure out what is profitable for them to feed on and what is not. So it's an adaptation.
You know, Doc, I was watching this amazing epic Troy, the story of Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
And this warrior, or known to be the greatest warrior ever lived earth, once tells on this film that we men are richer things, as we never know how much is enough. There are lessons for us to learn from the animal world, isn't it?
Absolutely. So here is Sashika. She's the daughter of Sashi.
So for the ladies on couch safari from Sri Lanka especially, the Sashikas and the Sashis on couch safari, here you go. your name has been shared with a beautiful animal, and they are the lucky ones watching couch safari.
So Shashika is now 6 years old, and she also she had a younger offspring,
All right.
but we haven't seen Shashi's younger baby. We fear that she might not be alive anymore.
They almost move in a hurry, Doc.
Yeah, there was elephant running a little bit inside for some
Yeah.
reason, and now they're all going there to see what's happening.
Yeah, so whatever they do, they are very... Oh, there you go. So obviously they felt something was wrong, or there was somebody in need, and they moved. So they are very much switched on with all the members of the herd.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also think that, with this infrasound communication, they could even communicate with elephants that are out of the line of sight.
Yeah. That was a wonderful session. Let's move, guys.
Well, that was an absolutely spectacular segment, don't you think? Just to be able to see the elephants
Up close.
up close and personal. So we have a few questions very quickly before the guys out in the field start their commentary again. Do we have a fruit which elephants get intoxicated of?
No, not in
That's,
Sri Lanka.
from Dimitri.
Yeah, Dimitri, there are some species in African plains, but not in Sri Lanka. No, they eat a lot of different fruits like the dule and siembala, which is tamarind, but they don't get intoxicated from those fruits.
Right. Well, thank you to Lankan Backpacker for joining us today. Lankan Backpacker says, "Hi, this is an amazing work by Tourism Sri Lanka, and we are a group of youngsters who are passionate about tourism. We are truly inspired." Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thanks so much for joining us. Ushani wants to know, how heavy is the Asian elephant on average?
Oh, it's just about 2,000 kilograms, 2,500 kilograms. So that means 2 to 2.5 tons. Of course, the males are much heavier than the females. That's the average weight of the Asian elephant.
Right. Jonathan, good morning to you. Jonathan says, "Splendid job you're doing. Please let me know if Yala National Park is open to Western Province visitors." Unfortunately, no, Jonathan. We had to get special authorization, and let me tell you, it was a process to be able to bring this footage to you. So unfortunately, no, not yet. But I'm sure, we're believing for the best and that it'll happen in the near future.
Yeah, keep checking on with the Department of Wildlife Conservation. Of course, everybody has to be very careful these days. So not yet.
Right. Well, a quick reminder, of course, we've got that competition happening where you can make your way to Sri Lanka, a free trip to Sri Lanka, so all of this can become your reality. If you'd like to find out more information, please log on to www.srilanka.travel/wildlife-stream. And we are going back into the field, or going back into the field?
Doc, we're just seeing the leopard.
All right.
We are seeing the leopard, Doc. The big male on the branch. So it genuinely is a leopard kill. It's been feeding on it enough. It's walked, I believe, roughly about 100 meters to the left. climbed a massive palu tree on the flat branch, which is almost custom made for a leopard. He's sitting, watching the direction of the carcass. A big boy, a really big male leopard.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a wonderful view of the leopard.
That's stunning. I mean, I'm using the 600 and I'm getting a lovely photograph of this totally relaxed animal. You can see he's been feeding on it. Looks very full, keeping a soft eye on the carcass, and that's awesome. So now, Doc, we have the complete story.
Awesome, that's unbelievable.
We have the complete story where the leopard has made a kill overnight, fed on it enough, it's gone, just being a leopard, climbed a tree, resting, watching the carcass. We watched half an hour ago the crocs, who's partied on the leopard kill, walking away from the carcass. We come here, we suddenly see the massive activity of wild boar, jackals and crocodiles, see the carcass, and after 20 minutes, we managed to find the leopard.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? This is like a entire drama.
This is the drama we want to show you. This is exactly the drama we wanted to bring to our viewers across the world on the Couch Safari, and I'm honestly very thrilled that we caught this entire story about how the system in Yala works, how the leopard is such a keystone species. It kills, and after feeding, everything else benefits out of that, and that is the circle of life. That is the magic here in Yala National Park. Enjoy these moments streaming on from this amazing place we call Yala in Sri Lanka. Yasas is zoomed in as much as he can. He's getting almost a great shot of the leopard on the tree. And I have no doubts, Doc, that the leopard will come back to the kill much later in the evening.
You think? There will be something left for him?
Well, almost instinctively it will come, sniff around, and maybe just if there's nothing much to feed on, it will start doing its thing. But see, what happens is, even being such a large leopard as we are seeing on the tree, once too many crocodiles take over the carcass, it will be a little reluctant to challenge all that, because see, these animals have such a great common sense, don't they? They don't want to cross the line and ask for confrontations. It's not because a large leopard like this can't fight off the crocodiles and win back the remaining meat, but one mistake, one bad injury could spell disaster for these cats.
Absolutely, because its life depends on hunting.
Yeah.
So one paw damaged, something like that, that would be disaster for a leopard.
They don't have hospitals like us or doctors on call. So there are baby jackals crossing the road.
Wow.
So you can see the full spectrum of predation here going on and scavenging, because you have the big cat bringing down the carcass and leaving enough of it being a large sambar. We are still contemplating at this distance whether it's a sambar or a young buffalo, but either way it's a big carcass, and that gives enough space for everything else to have a bit of a share until the leopard comes back to claim its prize.
So this is why I guess, Chitral, that leopards often drag their prey up into the trees so that it's protected from these scavengers.
They do.
But I guess this was just too big.
It's too big, and being a large leopard, it thought that as long as it wanted to feed, it can definitely quite easily protect its kill.
Right.
But the thing is, the moment it leaves the kill area, everything else will move in.
Mm-hmm. That was a great spot, Chitral. Just as you were moving, how on earth did you spot that?
Well, see, what happens is, when there is a kill, and if the leopard isn't around, Doc, I always, as a practice, scan the trees.
Right.
And our driver Janaka was telling me exactly that. So I was doing it around the kill area. I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
But as the jeep moved, I saw the silhouette of the leopard on the branch, and I said,
Awesome.
"That's the moment you get lucky." You know?
Fantastic. Okay, now he's put one back leg up on the branch, one hanging down.
While we're watching the resting
leopard.
leopard, we've got some questions that we want to answer very quickly, because I do believe the session is about to come to an end. And one question that caught my attention, which I think is fabulous, Melinda wants to know, can you comment on how to be a responsible wildlife tourist?
I think, Melinda, that's a very valid question, because some of the places that we visit in Sri Lanka it tend to get crowded also. So you have to be very careful how to take your your actions as your own responsibility. Number one, you respect to the natural behavior of a wildlife and the plants and everything inside the national park, not only inside the national park, any natural areas. That means try to minimize your disturbances, leave the space for the animals move around. And if your vehicle, the vehicle that you hire to go into the national park, just brief that driver or a guide or whoever it is that we are responsible tourists. We like to sort of leave the space for the animals, and also respect to the nature, and just tell them that don't rush around, and then let us enjoy what is out there. Every little one you enjoy. That's how you can become a responsible wildlife visitor to Sri Lanka. I mean, that should be for everybody. Some people just because to see the leopard, I mean, just run and speeding and many things happens, and then you don't respect any other small life forms in the national parks. So that's a fantastic, very valid question. Thank you for bringing that up, Melinda.
Yeah, and I think a good example is that we were asked the question, I was just looking for it, can't spot who asked it, but we were asked, we had authorization to do this streaming. Did we not then get authorization to actually go out into the field, and did we have to stay in the truck? We actually got authorization to go out, didn't we?
We got the authorization to go little out of the way off the track, but as a responsible people who have been working in this field for a long time, we thought we should not take that privilege.
Exactly.
And we managed to stick to the normal visitor tourist roads, and then try to streaming these footage from the tourism point of view, the tourist angle. Otherwise, people will have more, high expectation when they come to the national parks. That is why we stick to the roads and become responsible ourselves. But nobody was there to watch us. Not a single vehicle inside the park, because the visitation is almost zero due to the COVID situation. But we took that responsibility, and we behave like a responsible visitors to the park.
That's right. It's about respect, isn't it?
It is definitely.
We've got another question from Sasha. Good morning to you, Sasha. If we are on a short trip of 2 weeks, what national park must we visit?
2 weeks is a good time, Sasha. Actually, you can cover few good national parks. You can start from Vilpattu. You can also go to Yala National Park, can cover Kumana also. And then if you're really interested in mountainous areas, the Singaraja rainforest is also not too far from Colombo. And those are the areas that you can cover for 2 weeks. Best thing is to stay a couple of days in one place, then you increase the opportunity to see more. But some people just try to hip hop, not hip hop, like what do you call it? What's the word? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you go to one place for one day, and the next day you will be in another place. But then, of course, for wildlife tourism, that's not a good strategy. Best thing is to stay in one place for a couple of days, maybe 2 nights, 3 days, or 3 nights, 4 days would be the best. And so that within 2 weeks, you can cover a lot of ground. Yeah, and you will see a lot, I would guarantee. And pick the right season. Avoid the rainy season and pick the right season. That's the best strategy.
Now, we had a lot of comments because the children are at home, that this was extending into their syllabus, online schooling. That's very educational. A few of mums have made the comment. We've got Chanel saying, I was told that the stream said that the ultimate goal of this stream is to attract one youngster, at least one youngster, to conservation. I would love to hear how we could get a head start in such a career.
Yes. Anyway, these kind of streaming, wildlife photography, videos, and so many things, we are trying to inspire people, not only in Sri Lanka, all around the world. The video makers are spending so much time to increase the awareness of the general public on value of the wildlife, the beauty of it, and the fascination of it. That's to inspire people to come to this field, to become a professional conservationist, conservation biologist, wildlife biologist like me. I have picked this career because of my sheer passion of this wilderness. And you can go to the wildlife program if you really want to get involved. And there are a lot of degrees have offered, not only in Sri Lanka but also around the world in this conservation biology field. And it is little different from the normal zoology degree. So you get into that, and you will learn about the park management. You will learn about the different animals. How do you manage them? How do you make sure that their existence will be extended? So that sort of thing is the usual curriculum of the conservation biology or the wildlife biology. So it's so exciting. I mean, it's a job that you will really enjoy if you have a passion of wildlife. It wouldn't become a job. It'll become like your hobby. That's exactly what happened to me. I mean, for me, go out in the wild and it's a hobby. I would love to do it, but it's a job that you get paid also. Just imagine you get paid for conducting your hobby, doing your hobby. That's what the conservation science is all about.
Dream life. I was actually commenting to Dr. Fernando last night that all of you specialists, all of you individuals that I met for the first time, there was a calm about you. And I think it has a lot to do with your lifestyle because of what you do, just being in amidst the natural habitats of these wonderful creatures. There is a calm as opposed to working in, say, Colombo, amongst the hustle and the bustle.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a meditation. You just go there and sit in one place and watch these animals for hours and hours, looking at their behaviors, looking at their interactions, try to make connections with the other species in the natural habitat. So there are so many things to learn, and every experience is new.
Most
every
definitely.
second that you spend in the field is new.
Yeah. I just want to encourage you very quickly. Are we looking at something?
I think the leopard
What's
has come
that?
down and now he's feeding on that carcass. Yeah, we can see the head of that leopard right behind that tree. Now
there
he's
we go.
dragging its carcass. Yeah, it's dragging its carcass. Oh, it's a big leopard. And I think he felt insecure of his meal. A lot of crocodiles were there, the wild boars were there, and wild boars can finish this carcass with no time. The group of wild boars can finish this carcass with no time. And the leopards, of course, they will keep this carcass for a few days to eat, and so that he wouldn't be worried about his next meal for another few more days. So now he's eating his meal.
It's about lunchtime. And speaking of your next meal, if you haven't had breakfast yet, then we want to thank Uber Eats for coming on board and supporting Couch Safari. Now, you have until 10 o'clock, so we've actually got about half an hour to make an order. While you watch the magnificent wildlife, you can eat and explore with Uber Eats. Use the promo code YALA30 and get 30% off your next Uber Eats order before 10 a.m. today. 30 is the code, YALA30. Simply enter the code in the Uber Eats app before placing your order to receive the discount. The code is valid only on one order above 800 rupees placed before 10 a.m. You've got about half an hour left before this offer is no longer valid, so please hurry up and get ready for breakfast. The maximum discount that is offered is 300 rupees per order. So thank you to Uber Eats for coming on board. And also, just as we sort of tie up this session, want to give you a quick reminder that we do have a competition for you to win a chance to be here in Sri Lanka and witness all this live, face to face. It's quite the experience, an experience of a lifetime, as well as everything else that Sri Lanka has to offer. If you'd like to enter the competition, visit our website www.srilanka.travel/wildlife stream. Has all the information, all the bits and bobs that you need to know in order to qualify and be in to win. So very quickly, we want to thank you all for joining us today. I do hope that the experience was as wonderful as it was for us here in the remote studio.
Yeah.
Absolutely spectacular footage. We were very lucky today, I think.
Yeah, very
A
lucky.
beautiful range of animals came out to show off.
Yeah, exactly.
Show off to us, and so truly a beautiful streaming session today. We will be back on tomorrow the 12th at 7 a.m. So please, we would love to invite you to join us for this couch safari. It's going to be, again, I want to say quite confidently, it's going to be a spectacular session. We're going to have more footage.
Absolutely.
Here's me hoping. But no, I think the weather is the lack of traffic in the parks. It is actually encouraging animals to be out and about. I think that's why we've been so lucky, wouldn't you say?
True, yes,
It's
absolutely.
put the animals at rest because really there is nobody else out there.
That's right.
So that's why we were able to capture so much. And
Not just leopards, but also their daily activity. You saw the kill, and you saw 3 leopards was just walking around, and those are you can see how freely they are moving around.
just relaxed and doing their thing. So we do want to encourage you to join us tomorrow at 7 a.m. Sri Lankan time. And
Little
want
early,
to
but
say
please join.
A beautiful way to start the day, though,
That's
Vinu,
right,
isn't it?
yeah.
So relaxing. But very quickly, want to thank Department of Wildlife of Sri Lanka, Ministry of Defence, Civil Aviation Authority of Sri Lanka Police, Sri Lanka Air Force, Chief of Defence Staff, our field narrators, and of course Vimu sitting here beside me, and our incredible camera crew, the trackers, and of course our production team, the marketing team, everybody who made this possible and allowed us to bring the wildlife of Sri Lanka to the comfort of your home. Join us again tomorrow, 7 a.m. This is Couch Safari. Good morning.
Good morning. Bye-bye.
I have traveled the wilderness of Sri Lanka for almost 40 years. This November, we take you on a safari like never before, where we travel to see the great gathering of elephants at Minneria and Kaudulla National Parks. Join me as we travel the wilds of Minneria and Kaudulla to see the magic of this event that has now become the 6th greatest wildlife spectacle in the world.
Sri Lanka is the best place in the whole world to see and observe Asian elephants. So we know many of the elephants as individual personalities.
We then travel to elephant country, which is Udawalawa National Park.
You will be traveling with a group of experienced wildlife photographers and enthusiasts who will be able to tell you lots of stories, lots of experiences, which is much better than a normal safari that you would go for.
We then arrive in Yala National Park, which is the home of the leopard in Asia. People say that leopards are elusive. Yala's leopards proves you wrong. as they walk the day as much as they walk the night in this amazing wilderness.
They're not only bringing you the unique wildlife of this small island nation, but also the stories that are connected to them from the experts who have worked in the field tirelessly.
Let me take you close for an immersive couch safari this November. This is the first in Sri Lanka. Don't miss this experience.